You think human history is a straight line. One single species, rising from the ashes of simpler ancestors to claim its rightful throne as the ruler of the world. But that story, the one you learned in school, is a comfortable fairy tale. The real history is so much darker, so much more brutal than any textbook dares to tell you. For thousands of years we were not alone. This planet was shared by another species of human, one just as intelligent, just as complex, and just as driven to survive as we were. They were the Neanderthals. And our meeting with them was not a peaceful handshake across the millennia. It was the beginning of a long, silent war. A war that ended with one of the most successful and complete erasures in history. This is the terrifying truth about the day two species of humans went to war, and one disappeared forever. Let's start by destroying the biggest and most persistent lie ever told about our past. The Neanderthal was not a grunting, knuckle-dragging brute. He was, by any measure, a genius of survival. If you were to stand face to face with one, your first thought would not be ape. It would be human but different. Powerful. His brain was physically larger than yours. His body was a masterpiece of strength, with muscle density a modern elite athlete could only dream of. He was a master craftsman, creating sophisticated stone tools and even inventing a type of glue from tree bark to haft his spears, a complex technology that we would not figure out for thousands of years. He was a hunter who could take down monstrous prey like woolly mammoths and rhinos, not with cunning alone, but with sheer, terrifying courage. And we know he felt deeply because we have found his graves. He buried his dead with care, with tools and with flowers. This suggests culture, ritual, language, and grief. These were not primitive cavemen. They were our equals, and in their icy domain of Europe, they were our superiors. They had survived and thrived there for hundreds of thousands of years, mastering a world of ice and giants. They were the undisputed rulers of this continent. But then we showed up. When Homo sapiens first began to trickle and then flood into Neanderthal territory, it was not a friendly visit. It was an invasion, a biological and cultural collision of two worlds. And we did not come empty-handed. We brought with us a suite of advantages that turned out to be weapons, and they would change the rules of existence forever. The Neanderthal's greatest strength was also his greatest weakness in this new conflict. His hunting style was intimate, powerful, and incredibly dangerous. He used heavy, thrusting spears designed for close-quarters combat. To eat, he had to get within arm's reach of a creature that could trample him into the mud. It was a life of brutal, heroic attrition. But Homo sapiens, we fought from a distance. Our secret weapon was the atlatl, a simple spear thrower. This ingenious lever allowed us to launch projectiles with twice the speed, twice the force, and from triple the distance. We could rain death down on prey and on competitors without ever getting close enough to feel their breath. It was the ancient equivalent of a tactical advantage so profound it bordered on unfair. But wait, it gets so much worse. Our killer app was not just a better weapon, it was a better mind. A better way of organizing. Neanderthal society appears to have been built on small, isolated family groups. Tight-knit and incredibly strong but insular. If one group of Neanderthals had a brilliant idea, a new way to make a tool or a new hunting strategy, that idea often lived and died with them. It did not spread. Homo sapiens, on the other hand, were the networkers of the prehistoric world. We built vast, interconnected trade routes that stretched for thousands of miles. We traded shells, rare pigments, high-quality stone, and ideas. A new weapon invented in one tribe could spread across a continent in a few generations. This collective brain, this ability to accumulate and share knowledge, made us adaptable in a way the Neanderthals could never match. We were a swarm, and we were learning, evolving, and improving at a rate they could not possibly keep up with. So what did this war actually look like? Forget epic Hollywood-style battles with thousands of clashing warriors. This war was a slow, grim, and silent campaign of ecological domination that lasted for thousands of years. It was a cold war for a frozen world. It was a war of resource competition. Our more efficient hunting techniques, aided by our long-range weapons, meant we could extract more calories from the landscape. We could support larger population densities. We took the best caves, the richest hunting valleys, the safest watering holes. We slowly, inexorably squeezed the Neanderthals into the margins. And we may have brought with us a silent, invisible killer, diseases. Viruses and bacteria that our bodies had learned to live with, but for which the Neanderthals had no immunity. A common cold to us could have been a plague to them, wiping out entire family groups without a single spear ever being thrown. Their powerful, muscular bodies, once their greatest asset, became a liability. They required significantly more calories to maintain. In a time of increasing competition and climate change, that became a death sentence. They began to starve. And then there is the darkest, most chilling evidence, the evidence we find on the bones themselves. Some Neanderthal remains show cut marks. But these are not the cut marks of a hunter butchering an animal. The patterns match exactly the marks left by Homo sapiens tools, and they are in places consistent with the act of defleshing another human. The inescapable, horrifying conclusion is that sometimes we did not just outcompete them. Sometimes we did not just let them starve. Sometimes we saw them as prey. The other human, the rival, became just another source of protein in a harsh and starving world. This was not a war of conquest in the modern sense. It was a war of eradication, conducted over centuries through every means possible: competition, disease, and perhaps even predation. The end was not quick. It was a slow fading of the light. Population groups became smaller, more isolated, more genetically bottlenecked. The light of their culture guttered. Until finally, about 40,000 years ago, in a cave in Gibraltar, or perhaps in the forests of Croatia, the last Neanderthal took a breath. And then there was no next one. An entire universe of experience, a unique way of seeing and being in the world, a language, a culture, a people vanished from the earth forever. They were gone. We were alone. But the ghost of this war did not disappear. It lives on inside of us. Most people of European and Asian descent carry between 1 to 4% Neanderthal DNA. This is not just a scientific curiosity, it is a profound and haunting clue. It tells us that in those thousands of years of coexistence, we did not just fight them. We did not just kill them. We also sometimes mated with them. Their genetic legacy is literally woven into our very being, a silent echo in our own genes that influences everything from our immune response to our susceptibility to certain diseases. We did not just eradicate our rivals, we absorbed them. We carry a piece of them with us, a permanent, biological monument to the species we replaced. So there you have it. The day two species of humans went to war. It was not a single day but a 1,000-year grind of cold, hunger, and fear. We were not the peaceful inheritors of the earth. We were the conquerors, the innovators, the swarm. The ghost of the Neanderthal is not just a fossil in a museum case, it is a permanent part of us, and it is a warning from the deepest part of our history. A warning about what happens when one type of human, equipped with superior technology and a more connected society, meets another. Their extinction is the first and most complete genocide in human history. And the most terrifying part, the part that should truly sit with you, is that we were the ones who committed it. If this brutal truth about our deep past has made you question everything you thought you knew about humanity, then maybe hit that subscribe button. Because the story of our species is far darker and far more fascinating than you have ever been told. And trust me, you have not heard anything yet.